Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the garage review for the Fangula AE Phase 1, the new Tier 9 American Heavy Tank Premium XP tank. I don't know if they're going to do it for XP, I don't know, they haven't said anything yet. I'd assume from the Valor and the T95 FV201 that this will get an unskinned version probably, and it'll be free XP worthy. I'd imagine so. Don't hold me to that, but I'd just assume from the practice of what they've done with the Valor and the T95 FV201, they might do that. So, the Fangula. Initial thoughts before we go into the stats. It's alright, you know. There's only one problem to it. It's good at pretty much everything else, but there is one problem to it, and that is its reload. So, let's go into this. Stats wise, 900 engine power. That's quite good for a heavy tank, and generally it does get up to its top speed of 35 quite well. Its mobility is pretty similar to an M103 or the E5 in the way that it's got that top speed. It gets up to it quite well, and no matter what, it seems to just speed along and be okay in terms of that. The rate of fire on this 120mm gun, rounds a minute, 4.44. Oh, it's slow. Sometimes once you're fired, you're sitting there waiting, twiddling your thumbs, tapping your tapping your controller, your keyboard, whatever you are, and you sat there going, "Am I going to reload yet?" Oh, I have. Oh, I can now shoot. Oh, cool. It's very slow. I think it's actually the slowest 120mm firing gun at Tier 9 on heavy tanks, anyway. And that makes it a little bit sad on its gun performance. But generally, the rest of the tank's pretty nice. So it's got 258 pen on its standard AP rounds. Excellent. 340 on its heat, which is unbelievably good. Fantastic. 400 damage on its standard rounds. 515 on its HE. Great. 2.7 second aim time. I think that's slightly different to the PC in the fact that I think the PC's version is 2.5, I want to say. Let me have a look at that. Yep, it's 2.5 aim time on PC. Same accuracy, 0.38. The aim time's alright for the heavy tank. You don't really notice it being that bad. And would I say it probably warranted that 0.2 nerf to its aim time? Probably not, but it's not like they've changed it from 2.5 to 3. You know, it's okay in that regard. 28 degrees a second on its traverse. Yeah, it doesn't turn very quickly, but what a heavy tank does. It's got 292 turret armor on its face. Now, the turret armor on this thing is great. I've really liked it. There's so much you can do with it. It's great. Don't try Jagdpanzer heat rounds, though. That doesn't work. 102 on the side. 51 on the rear. Yeah, it means generally, even if you turn slightly, it means you're still going to ricochet things, and the angling on the turret is nice. 390 view range, which, again, is very good. It's very nice for the heavy tank. It means you can get above that threshold of the 445 again, and before you start devaluing camo, which is fantastic. 26 degrees a second on its traverse speed. It's just like a heavy tank region anyway, so its turret turns alright for a heavy tank. I say it's pretty nice. So let's go into the other stats of this thing. Camo rating, yeah, non-existent. It's a heavy tank, so yeah, you don't want to be looking at the camo rating. 900 horsepower, 16.7 horsepower per ton, power to weight. Which, like I say, that means it for a heavy tank that's good. That means it gets up to that top speed and it zips about, and it's on its 35 km/h top speed, as you can see there. It gets to that quite nicely, quite quickly, and when you're going up hills, it doesn't really go down that well. Obviously, you're going up a hill, it doesn't stay at 35, but you're looking at like what, 18 to 20 up a hill, compared to some that's probably dropped down to like 9 because they've got no engine power. Fire chance 20%. Touch wood, I've not been set on fire in this thing yet, which is okay. But then again, I do have an awesome crew. I have had an awesome crew in this tank when I've been playing, so that could also be a factor, so be aware of that. Reload, base reload, 13.5. So 13.5 base reload, and like I was saying, 4.44. It's very slow. So we look at the M103 here, 5.36. Its base reload is 11.2. So that's 2.3 seconds slower on the Fangula. On the Conqueror, now that we all know the Conqueror is just a ridiculously good tank, right? And it's got a 10.5 second reload, as well as the aim time being at 1.9. You know, this gun is utterly ridiculously good for a tier 9. It makes it one of the best tanks tier for tier in the game at the minute, like, generally. As well as the fact that this turret is just fantastic. Note, if you want to shoot a hull down Conqueror, aim for the turret ring. You can pen just below this gun mantlet. Sometimes, if you hit it. So, if you see one hull down, don't lose faith. Just keep slapping it. We're not even going to look at the E75 because obviously, I think this reloads on its base reload is 2 seconds slower than the Fangula. Yeah, 2.2, but it's got 490 instead of 400. So, yeah, you can't compare those tanks generally. So here is the second slowest 120mm wielding tier 9 heavy tank, the AMX M4 51. 4.48 rounds a minute. It legitimately reloads 13.4 base as opposed to the 13.5. So this is the closest you'll get to that reload. And this tank is probably just as good, but the thing is, again, it's one of those that you do fire and you do sit there twiddling your thumbs after you've fired for a bit going, right, cool, what do I do now? But it's still a tank I enjoyed a lot anyway. So, yeah. It's quite bad. I don't know, it's just the reload is just poor, you know? You do sit there going, what is going off? And it's probably a bit unnecessary that it reloads that slowly, you know? Doesn't I wouldn't say it completely holds the tank back, but it does limit sometimes what you can do. I wish it was just that second faster, probably. I'd say 1 second, 1.5 seconds faster reload, and this thing would be Gucci. You'd be like, yeah, this is a good tank. This is something that's really, like, you could deal with a lot of situations a lot better than you can now. So, 28 degrees a second on its traverse speed. Like I say, it's not bad for every tank. It's alright. 390 on its view range, good. Turret speed, yeah, it's okay. The shell velocity, 1,067 meters a second on its AP, 1,067 on its heat, and on its HE. All the same velocity. That is fantastic. Especially with the heat not losing usually the heat rounds end up being slower than the AP, so like the AP would be 1,067, the heat rounds would be like 863 or something like that. All the same velocity means you don't have to ever change your lead. That's really nice in itself. So the velocities is all good. Armour. Turret. Fantastic. This turret is great. It's absolutely amazing. Like, it bounces so much. Like, even that plate that looks there is 63mm. That'll still ricochet a lot of things. Obviously, it's got a cupola, so if you're on flat ground and you can see this cupola, while it's not the easiest to pen, look, 215 in different sections on it, and 127 there. So it's one of those cupolas again, where sometimes you can just hit. More often than not, you'll hit it and you'll literally just do viewport damage, and you'll sit there going, "Oh, right, okay." But it's still a weak spot, so you will pen it a lot more. And I found that people fire premium, especially high pen premium, they will pen the cupola more often than not, and that's really annoying. But generally, if you hull down and you're using your gun depression, which I can't show you because of this stupid garage, you won't be able to see that cupola all that well. And the fact that it'll be super well angled, and it'll probably auto ricochet anyway. So yeah, it doesn't draw back from the turret. And like, say 292, that is really, really good. It's a really good turret from what I've experienced of it. And this hull armour, I mean, it's 171 on the lower plate, and I believe that's about 210, 220, something like that. If people are on flat ground with you, it's like 205mm effective, and that just makes it really quite strong, especially against tier 8s that do struggle with it a little bit. I've had lots of tanks bounce off it. The upper plate is pretty dang good as well, unless obviously someone's face hooking you and shooting down on it. But the way it's angled, it just manages to ricochet quite a lot of shots. It's not something I'd say you rely on, because, you know, it's that type of hull armour that's not exactly reliable, but it will pull off bouncers, and it's quite nice for that. In terms of side scraping, you can do it, you've just got to be careful. You've really got to wait for them to bounce before you pull back, because these little cheeks here, 76mm, kind of let you down. So if you're pulling out like this, you know, you're side scraping like that, they'll just pen these cheeks if you pull out too much. But like this little engine compartment area that you might think might be a weak spot, it's really quite not. I mean, you can't see it with the armour, like if we looked at it, you can't really see it, but the shape of it is actually pretty strong. So side scraping wise, it could be pretty good. I mean, reverse side scraping as well could be okay, but that 76mm there on the back of the turret compartment is definitely a weak spot. So the Fangula, I mean, for the most part, yeah, it's a really nice tank. I've really enjoyed it, actually playing it. I'd say the only thing that lets it down for me a little bit is that reload being quite slow. But on the whole, it's a nice tank, and I'd probably recommend picking it up at some point. Or again, it doesn't look too bad. I also love this aesthetic of the double track. That is really cool to me. Ignore the big exhaust on the side. If you don't like the skin, obviously wait for the unskinned version. If it, like I say, don't hold me to it, but I assume they will with the T95, FE201, and the Valor, you know, being the unskinned Valor, and they brought that out for free XP as well. So yeah, on the whole, it's actually a pretty decent tank. It's quite a nice tier 9. So as always, everybody, I'll let you make your mind up by watching the replays, and I'll see you over there. So here we are, Pilsen, tier 10 game, Fangula, AE phase 1. And we spawned probably in the best place to put this tank. And that is because, yeah, it can brawl decently. But again, like I say, the upper plate is probably more troll than anything, in the fact that it can bounce quite a lot of rounds, but should you ever have to rely on it, probably not. What you can rely on is the turret. So you want to get hull down. So spawning on this side was perfect, because that meant I could get over here, I could get hull down and try and fight them. So as you'll see, the mobility is pretty good. You know, you get it up to that 35 quite easily. You know, for a heavy tank, it feels really mobile. You know, it doesn't feel like you're being a slug. Unfortunately, we took a hit there from over there. Probably a bad move to do what we did there, but I didn't think, well, I didn't think I'd get spotted there, but I did. We try and pop a shot at the hull and hunt, but the .38 accuracy rears its head there. I mean, it wasn't very well aimed either anyway, and we hit the floor. But yeah, like I say, you know, getting hull down in this thing is good, because it means that you can just use the pretty reliable turret armour. Now that hull and hunt showed great driving skills, just like mine. Crashed into a building, cost himself some health. And we noticed this M60's on a suicide play, and we slap a shell straight through his turret. 448 roll, which is very nice. And the M60's dead. No idea what that M60 was doing, he just threw himself away. So we pop over again, and I'm pretty confident in sitting there and letting the gun aim, because the turret armour is very nice. And like I say, it just means that you can just sit here and go, oh, I'm just going to aim for a little bit, just give me time. And you probably bounce. And like I say, on this ridgeline as well, I'm also quite confident in that the upper plate will be really well angled, so that I can, you know, as long as the lower plate doesn't go all the way over, I can pull over and, you know, probably bounce something. So we're going for the shot on that hull and hunt, but I think that went just in front of him. On the camera, it looks like it went right through him, but I think that it was just that little bit too much in front, lead-wise. So now it's literally just like Conway on this flank. So it's time to move forward. That Conqueror is in my mind to shoot, but then we spot this back tap, and he's just sitting there. But unfortunately, the shell goes high, just because he started moving at that moment, and it was like, you know what, I need to take this shot. So So there's this Conqueror here. So what we're going to go for, we're going to go for the side of his turret, pop it straight through the back end. You don't want to aim for the side of the turret on the Conqueror, but shoot the front end, because you'll probably get absorbed by the spaced armor. So when you've got the back, you really want to shoot that back edge of it. We try and pop a shot at the 430U's lower plate, but at this distance, 0.38 accuracy, yeah, it's not the most effective in the universe. And we hit his upper plate and bounce. This Skoda, I'm not quite sure what he's doing. We finish him off. And we're just using this ridge line. Like, we are very well covered here on this ridge line. So, you know, we're nicely hulled down. If they decide to shoot us, they're probably going to bounce, as he does there. But actually, that wasn't the Conqueror. That was the 430U firing heat at us, and the heat bounced. Like I say, it's pretty strong when it's hulled down. As you see, another heat shell from that 430U flies wide of us. And the gun was quite nice. Like I said, the gun feels alright as well. I mean, it's got 0.38 accuracy, but like you see there, that Conqueror was, what, 250, 300 metres away? And we're just pinging shots into his lower plate, which wasn't the most perfect shots in the universe either. So, we've now got these guys crossing from the other flank, and they're going to give us some nice juicy shots into their sides, which is good. But we want to move up, we want to get a better angle basically, because these pylons and stuff are basically just getting our way, which is really quite frustrating. So we want to get somewhere else, get good shots. This is quite risky, poking up on here, but at the same time, yeah, we'll be alright. If we just turn slightly more to the left, we can use that ridge line, rather than coming over. I think I'll do it in a second. We can actually, like, get a hull down there. But I'm still healthy, so, like, you see there, the pen the lower plate, I'm still healthy, so I know I can take the hits anyway. So that's why I was doing it, but now I'm going to be a bit more careful. I'm going to use this position. Like you see there, the Super Conqueror bounces. We tried to snap a shot into the T95E6, but we ended up hitting the Super Conqueror in his tracks. He's been a bit annoying because he's now just hulled down, but we are spotting him, so we've got a nice chunk of assist there. We try and aim for his lower plate, but it goes wide and hits his tracks. And just as we fired at him, the FP215B got spotted, which is annoying because we could have shot and tracked him. Well, we could have shot him anyway in his side, which is juicy. He's a more juicy target to shoot than the Super Conqueror, because the FP215B's armour is just a joke compared to the Super Conqueror. Super Conqueror bounces a lot that you're thinking, probably shouldn't have done. Or, to be fair, no, it's just the fact that it's got better side armour, so it just bounces a lot more than the FP215B. But he's decided, I think he's got probably bored and he's pulled out, and that means we've just got nice shots into his side. So it's like, well, thank you very much, Mr. Super Conqueror. Get a nice shot into him again, damages ammo rack. He dies, and there's only 2 tanks left, but they are currently surrounded by my team, which means I'm probably not going to get anywhere near them at this point. That's pretty much my game over. But it's been a nice game, and it showed what this tank can do on a ridgeline. Because we bounced a decent amount from those guys. We managed to put the gun to work, and we managed 5.4k damage and 801 spotting. And I think that was good representation of what this tank can do. And we end that game with an ace tanker, sniper medal, Confederate. It may be a premium, but it doesn't earn it doesn't have a credit bonus. It has an XP bonus, so 54,000 credits made is nice, but that's because we didn't really fire any. Well, we didn't fire any premium. We didn't need it in this game, so that was pretty good. But yeah, 21 shots fired, 18 hits, 14 pens. Again, not too bad a ratio for 0.38 accuracy. So here we are. Second game, Cliff, and it's tier 10 again, which is it's pretty much what tier 9s see most of the time anyway. Tier 9s are pretty much always tier 10, unfortunately for them. And we are going to make the bold play, and that is go straight into this area at EF2. Now this is risky because people rush in, and that can really hurt you very quickly. Like 60 TP is going over there, so he can get nice shots in. But like this medium tank here is going in, and he's getting wrecked, and the machine is going in. So that medium tank just got trashed T95V6. But this machine's YOLO'd this T54, and well, fortunately for me, didn't kill the machine. Now I'm focusing this machine. Now I've got the Andre who is clearly focusing me. Look, he doesn't care about that T54. He should have killed the T54, but he doesn't. I'm ignoring the Andre because we want to get rid of the machine, because obviously that machine will be deadly when he reloads. And I'm trying to get round this Andre so I can shoot him in the side. We get round him, and what we want to do is bait him into missing by shooting our turret. As he does that, he obliges, he shoots our turret, which is nice, and then he gets shut down by the 705A in the side. Now that was the reason we went to side hook him there, because we didn't want him to get another free shot at our hull, and by hugging him there, the most likely target he was going to hit was our turret, which is what he did, and he bounced. So it's something you want to think about when you're going against things that are tall like the Andre, or like the Type 4, Type 5 heavies type, you know. Now this T-54, sorry, is facing off against this E-50 up here, which is quite bad for him because he's low health, and we wanted to help him out. T-54's bailed, but it's an E-50. I'm not particularly worried about facing this E-50. Sure, if I give him my lower plate, give him my side, he'll probably pen, but I can pretty much pen him through his turret like that, because the E-50's turret, same as the E-50M's turret, is pretty sad and very easy to pen. Now there's this bullsig, but he gets away. The E-50, we give too much of a shot into our tracks and our side, and we're just detected right now while we're in this position. There's not really anything that can see me so far. It must be over there. And then there's this waffly 100 that's deciding to come up, and it's like, oh, okay, right. He kills the T-54, and then he starts clipping our other heavies that are up here. We get a nice free shot into his turret. Is he going to get away? No, he's not. The 705A shuts him down. And it was possibly that griller over there that was actually seeing us earlier on, and that was the big problem for us. Now, I misplay there, and I shoot the rock. I thought I couldn't quite tell where the rock was for the bush. We should have come over here to shoot, and that's where the accuracy lets us down a little bit. We can't quite get the shot into the griller, unfortunately. There's a medium tank coming on our right, which at one moment I kind of panicked a little bit because it was like, oh god, what is going to kill me? But it's not a 390 Alpha medium, it's the Panther 2, who I'm not quite sure what he was doing, but he gets death starred and dies. Yeah, I have no idea what that Panther 2 was aiming for. I think he just drove around the corner and went, oh, you know what, I'm just going to keep driving. Now, I kind of take a risk here because I drove out in front of where that WZ was. I wanted to make sure where the shell was going as well, and unfortunately it doesn't quite go in. He gets shut down before our shell reaches him. And then we've got these guys down here. So we've got the 60 TP that we can get a nice shot into. Unfortunately, the gun derps for us a bit there as well. And like I say, you are seeing a bit of the gun handling problem with it. Like I say, it's not too bad. Like, you know, it doesn't feel terrible for a heavy tank, but it does not work sometimes. So we're trying not to slide all the way down, but physics has another idea, and then we slide down and ram the brick. Unfortunately for us, the shot ends up going into the upper bit of him instead of his side, so it bounces. And I know I can't pen the upper plate of the brick. I could possibly pen the turret front, because the turret front's not very good, but unfortunately that bounces. The turret front's only like 160 armour, and then it's got 5mm of spaced armour. Usually with 250 odd pen you can go through the front of a brick. I've got plenty of experience of playing the brick, and trust me, that armour doesn't normally bounce like that, so I probably got a bit unlucky with that, to be honest. But hey ho. We get this 60 TB here, and a nice shot into his lower plate. He is the last one alive. He shuts down the stockade, he's fired, which means that if we reload we'll get a nice shot into him, but unfortunately we don't. The E100 shuts him down. But another nice game for this tank on Cliff. And that was 5.2k damage and 355 assistance. Ace Tanker Confederate. So far my experience is it's not that great at securing kills, and that's pretty much because the reload's pretty terrible. So most of the time you end up doing a lot of damage to people, but then like not managing to quite get the kill. You'll put them on like 100 health and then someone else will shoot them and take the damage. So here we are, we've got a third game, and this time we're on Lakeville. And you know what? It's me and Swindle in a platoon this time. We decided, yeah, we're both in Fangulas. We're both very good hull down. Why not? Let's just go to the valley. Valley memes for the lols. Let's do it. So we're gonna go to the valley, use our good turret, and see what we can do over here. Now I think Swindler only really not played it all that much at this point. I think he only played it a couple of times on stream, on the Wargaming official stream. So this is his first experience of it, and obviously I'm saying, yeah, the turret's really good. So the turret is what we want to maximise really here, and that's what we can do in this valley area. Now they've got a better, their side of the valley is better basically for being hauled down, because like where we are, because of how it's a lot shallower, the gradient on this ridge line. So basically we tend to give up our lower plates a lot more than they do, but you can leverage it a bit more by going up on this right hand side and getting better shots at them. So this T-44 is really in a place he doesn't want to be, and we get a nice shot slapped straight through his upper plate. He doesn't want to be here, and he's bugged out now. And a 279E, they're a pain in the ass, but somehow that AP shell goes straight in. Don't ask me how, I don't know. Normally you can't pen a 279E with 250 pen in the front. I think it might have just gone into his side, but unfortunately for us it had penned. Don't know why. So we switched to heat now because we want to deal with this 279E reliably, and we can't. But this Valor keeps driving in the way, so it's like, okay, well, if you're going to give us a free shot of damage, then thank you, Valor. We don't need the heat for the Valor, but we need it loaded for this 279E. Now there's the heat pen through our cupola. Now we are above him, but it didn't really matter. He just penned the cupola anyway. And he's going to be a pain in the ass like that. So we're coming over to get another pen, well, try and pen him, but unfortunately the shot hits his turret. It was pretty badly aimed. And he's going to try and pop another shot into our cupola again. He is slinging heat also. Yeah, he pens us again. That's what I mean. If you get things that are firing heat and good pen, they generally go through the cupola. But if they're hitting the rest of the turret is pretty sound. No, I'm just looking to my right there because the Jagdpanther 2, a little bit of candid teamwork there, pushes the Jagdpanzer up on top of this hill, and then the Jagdpanzer is going to be like, "Hello there, friends," as he blaps someone, I think. Yeah, he gets the Carnarvon. We pop a nice shot of heat through the turret side of the 279E. And these guys are now in a really bad situation. So we shut down the Valor. We still got the heat in for this 279E, but am I going to get another shot at him? Possibly. He gets shot by the Conqueror. It looks like we might get the kill, and we do. Now we've noticed that the town has now pushed through. That medium tank over there is running. The T-44 is running away, but yeah, the town is pushing through to our base now, and that is what we want to deal with. I've said to Swindle, you know what, I'm going back to base. Because the one thing with these valley pushers, right, is that you've got to realise once you've won it, you've got to see what the enemy team's doing. If the enemy team's sitting in their base, you can push their base. If the enemy team is pushed through the town and coming towards your base, you have to go back. You have to go back and defend your base. There is no point pushing forward into theirs. And really, you can defend this base, especially, a lot. Well, this side, this north spawn, you can defend your base really easily compared to the south spawn from the valley, because you've got these nice little lips here that keep tanks hull down, and you can put shots into people. The only times that you do get wrecked on this is when they over push. So we get a nice shot into that Leopard one. So Swindle said, you know what, I'm going to go down the lake road and come back. But then an M48 Patton had gone back from town to their base and shot him down. Plus he ran into a Jagdpanzer, which you don't really want to be running into Jagdpanzers. Jagdpanzers hurt. And this guy over here has been a bit of a pain in the backside as well, because he's not quite poking. And then we've got this guy over here. We're going to pop a nice shot through his upper plate. He's out of here. And we are still watching for this Leopard 1, because, you know, we don't want to get shot. We don't want to take another hit. And this guy could hurt us. You know, he could take 400 health off and then leave us in an area where we are, like, you know, a one shot for stuff like this T-30 here. So he's fired at the guy next to us, so it's alright. We can push out and shoot him. We're popping a nice shot through his upper plate, and the Conqueror finishes him off. It's quite nice now as well, because this Conqueror's 3 marks, that we've possibly got someone who knows what he's doing with us. So now we've shut down everyone that was attacking our base, and we're now going to go push their guys that are defending their base. The thing is, they also had 2 medium tanks in the SW1 New Des 16 that were pushing our base and then just decided to run around and go defend theirs, and that basically screwed over the guys that were with him, or with them I should say, because that meant we could just overrun them and kill them. So now we're traversing down the lake road, which, hindsight, because of where the M48 pattern is, as you can see, he's hurting this Jagdpanther 2. It's quite bad, well, it's quite risky. Unfortunately, the shot goes over the M48 pattern, but this Jagdpanther 2 dies, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn and we're going to try and push this Jagdpanther 2 to be a bit of help, basically, in defending our armour. So I've now got a point of reference there. But you know what? They get unspotted. And it's like, okay, you know what? There's maybe a Jagdpanzer there, which is why I'm loading heat, by the way. I'm loading heat to go through the superstructure of the Jagdpanzer, because if I poke up, I'm pretty well, I was pretty sure he's probably going to pen me, right? And I want to be able to whittle him down as much as I possibly can. If we get shot by the pattern, we're just using this rock here for cover. He gets slapped by the Jagdpanzer for 1,100. Their Jagdpanzer's pulled back round the corner, which is good for us, so we reload the AP again, because we don't need that for the pattern. And we use this ridgeline over here, because we can use this ridgeline to stay covered from where the pattern is. So I'm a little bit too far over this ridgeline, unfortunately. The pattern snaps the shot into our side, but we get a nice shot into him, and he repairs his tracks and pulls back. So we are looking for the shot as well on this pattern and hoping that he pulls out again, but he pulls out the other way and gets spotted. And it's a waiting game. That's what we're at the minute. It's a waiting game. I'm pretty sure that the guys behind me will kill the SW1, and they did. They shut him down. So it's literally just this pattern in this Jagdpanzer here that are left. And I'm now getting a little bit concerned, because obviously there's this pattern down there. We're trying to snap the shot into the pattern but miss. But I'm a little bit concerned because I'm now alone. I did have people with me, but I'm now alone. There's now the Jagdpanzer and the M48. And I'm reloading the heat for the Jagdpanzer superstructure, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to see if I can bounce around from this Jagdpanzer. We bounced the M48. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this turret while I'm hull down. And he's firing heat. So you can't mess with Jagdpanzer heat rounds. 400 pen just completely destroys my turret. So yeah, don't mess with the Jagdpanzer heat rounds. So we get an Ace Tanker Confederate, 4.6, well, nearly 4.7k damage. And yeah, that was a generally nice game for the Fangula AE Phase 1. And I think those 3 games show what it's capable of. Is it worth picking up? I'd probably say yeah. It's a good tier 9. If you want to spend the money, get it. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.